A little bit about myself and Village Eyecare. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia. My wife, Dr. Monasood, born and raised here in Chicago. We met at the University of California, Berkeley, where we both graduated from the School of Optometry. After graduation and after getting married, we decided to start our career here in Chicago. And in our first few years, we worked in a multitude of clinical settings. We decided that private practice was the best fit for us. And about 15 years ago, we acquired Village Eyecare, which at that time was a single location here on Taylor Street. The practice has grown over the years, and now we have 4 locations throughout the city in University Village, South Loop, Hyde Park, and River Park. So my experience with specialty lenses really took off my first year with Village Eyecare. When we acquired the practice, there was a large number of keratoconus patients. At that time, those patients were effectively wearing either corneal RGPs, piggyback lenses, or corneal scleral lenses. And as we all know, in the last 10 years, the contact lens industry has made major advancements in the types of modalities that are now available, and that's led to a lot more successful fits, which really makes a positive impact on the quality of these patients' lives. So when I was putting this lecture together, my initial feeling was to talk about all the modalities that I use. When I realized I had 25 minutes to talk to you, I thought I would focus in on our most prescribed contact lens for keratoconus. However, to go over the lenses that we still use, corneal RGPs have been around for decades. Excellent choice with regards to vision correction for keratoconus. It does have limitations, as we all know. Discomfort being the number one reason why patients are non-adapts. Getting a stable fit can also be a challenge when the keratoconus is more advanced. RGP is also difficult to wear in certain environments where there may be more debris or dust, and of course, long-term RGP use can be associated with corneal scarring, as Dr. Kovac alluded to. Piggybacks, quite successful still. Essentially, as a soft lens directly in the cornea. Corneal RGP over the soft lens really enhances the comfort of the lens. Stability still can be a challenge with advanced cones. Patients often mention how it is cumbersome to have to wear 2 lenses per eye as well. Corneal scleral lenses, again, effectively larger diameter RGPs. These lenses do provide a little bit more comfort, a little bit more stability in the fit. Still some of the same limitations as corneal RGPs with regards to discomfort, debris getting underneath the lens, and potential long-term scarring. Hybrid lenses are fantastic, especially for early keratoconus. You have a mild cone, RGP is effectively an RGP lens in the center, bonded to a soft strip periphery, get the vision correction benefits of that RGP material and the comfort more like a soft. Hybrids, though, also have some limitations, including not being as good with vision correction for more advanced cones. Also becoming very tight towards the end of the day on a more moderately curved cornea. Removal also can be difficult for some patients as well. Customized soft lenses, there's been a lot in the last few years that have come out that I find very effective. They're comfortable. They are surprisingly effective in vision correction for mild keratoconus. Again, more advanced cones, vision correction sometimes it's just not there. It's also in that soft family, so there will be some movement with the blink. You have a specialty lens that's moving, there's going to be some fluctuation in the vision. Customized soft lenses also can at times be very difficult to remove as well. Which brings us to scleral lenses. Scleral lenses, I find, give us the trifecta we look for in all contexts. One that is healthy for the corneal tissue, one that is comfortable for the patient to wear, and one that is that allows one to maximize vision restoration. And tonight, because of the success we've had with scleral lenses, I want to focus my talk on this modality. And before I say too much about sclerals, I thought it'd be a good idea just to hear a little bit about scleral lenses from the patient's perspective. These are patients of ours that wear scleral lenses, and they'll tell you a little bit about their experience.
Ready to give up. It's really hard for keratoconus patients. Our lenses are very expensive. There's not a lot of people who are actually used to dealing with my disorder. So I was ready to give up, and luckily he called me and set me up, and this is the first time that I'm seeing this clearly probably in my entire life.
I was fit for scleral lenses a few months ago. I was an RGB wearer my whole life, and I would tell you that the difference between RGBs and scleral lenses is night and day. I see significantly better. Never thought I would see this way.
I'm so obsessed because I can actually see very clearly. They're comfortable. I don't feel them.
I can keep it with me all day long, 12, 14 hours a day. That's just right. And the vision is also perfect, so that really changed my life. He prescribed me Scleral lenses, and I've been trying this one for almost like 1 month. And I see a major difference in the vision and also the comfortness I'm getting. I really like them. They're just awesome.
I was fitted with the Scleral lenses, and I can honestly say my life has improved 100%. Not just the vision, but the actual preparation, the taking in, taking out, everything is so much better.
As I'm able to see, I can drive at night. I can take my girls out to the extracurricular, and I'm very happy.
I love the Scleral lenses. I can see better, I can study better, I can read, I can write, I can live, and most important of all, I can do my other stuff. I think that my kids' nails, that's amazing. I love them. I'm living again.
So as you can see, scleral lenses are very effective, very successful modality, and that's where we'll focus the rest of the discussion tonight, is kind of just fitting scleral lenses for these regular corneas. So the lens features, again, it's an RGB lens, a larger diameter, anywhere from 14 to over 20 millimeters in diameter. The lens rests entirely on the sclera. It vaults over the limbus and over the cornea. The lens is filled with preservative-free saline, which fills in the space between the front of the cornea and the back of the lens. When we look at the overall profile of the lens, again, the space in between the cornea and the back of the lens is preservative-free saline. That saline will fill in the imperfections on the irregular corneal surface, which greatly improves the way light bends and thus the vision. Obviously, with the cornea bathing and saline all day long, naturally comfort is going to be improved as well. Indications for indications for scleral lenses, you can start with keratoconus. Any irregular corneal surface tends to do quite well. Occlusive degeneration, post-keratoplasty grafts. We've had a lot of success with post-refractive surgery, RK, LASIK, PRK. Patients tend to do very well with these lenses. Lots of scarred corneas that give surprisingly good vision when you put a scleral lens on. Even I get amazed at times when I think a corneal transplant may be in order. Now I just want to see what a scleral lens will do, and sometimes we're both surprised the patient at how well they can see. So scarring for trauma, infection, also a great indication for sclerals. Dry eyes now, the last couple of years, are very effective. You have a lot of corneal staining, a lot of inflammation on the corneal surface. Well, if you have that cornea bathed in preservative-free saline throughout the day, you're going to see great improvements in the health of the cornea and a reduction in patient's symptoms. High refractive error is another one. High myopia, a large amount of astigmatism. Patients see really well. Again, it's a gas-permeable material, so we know how effective they are at improving vision. But the stability that you get with the scleral lens and that material makes it very effective. Even a regular cornea with a high amount of myopia, I have patients that prefer the vision through scleral over their soft lenses. Graft versus host disease, again, that's where the corneal surface really dries out, and scleral lenses can make a huge difference. There's a number of other conditions that are great, those patients are great candidates for sclerals. So I mentioned a few of these benefits already, but number one, comfort. Scleral lenses are the only lenses that don't touch the cornea. Every other lens in the world makes contact with the cornea in some capacity. The cornea is obviously more sensitive than the conjunctiva and the sclera, and when the entire lens, the scleral lens, is resting on that scleral tissue, the patients are not as sensitive. So comfort is greatly increased. Stability. These lenses, once they are inserted correctly, they have a semi-sealed off fit. That leads to no rotation. The lenses don't move with blink. And when you have a very irregular corneal surface, keeping that lens stable really improves the quality of the vision, which we get with the Gasper material on the next on the list. And lastly, the dryness, as I mentioned before, dry corneas, inflamed corneal surfaces tend to do very well when wearing scleral lenses due to the fact that they bathe in saline throughout the day. So what equipment is needed to fit sclerals? We'll start off with the diagnostic fitting sets. I think there's nothing that could replace the hands-on experience that a practitioner gets from putting these lenses on patients' eyes, the process of putting them on, removing them, making adjustments. There's no replacement for that. My recommendation would be to pick a lab that you're comfortable working with, pick one lens design, and get really good at it. Learn what the terminology is for that design, learn what parameter changes, translate over to the patient, and over time you will build your confidence with that design, and over time you can then expand to other designs. Corneal topography, I think that's a mainstay in any optometric practice. If it's any types of contact lenses for that matter, from a diagnostic perspective, you have to have this lens to be able to diagnose these conditions. Strangely enough, with scleral lenses, once you have that topography, because scleral lenses don't touch the cornea, topography doesn't really come into play that much. You need to know the overall shape and profile of that cornea, but since we're vaulting over it, it doesn't impact the fit once you start going with the diagnostic lenses. But from a diagnostic standpoint, obviously topography is a must. The OCT also becoming pretty prevalent in most optometric practices, more so for retinal and nerve diagnostic capabilities and scanning. However, a lot of the OCT devices with the right adapters can give excellent anterior segment scans. As you can see here, these are two images taken in our office, and first, the top image is this is the scleral lens right here. Below that is the preservative-free saline, and then here's the irregular cornea right there. And so yes, this can be seen with a slit lamp, but not like this. Our technicians will take these lenses after they sell for 30 minutes, gets added to the chart, and then we can measure with calipers how much room we have, and I'll discuss that later. We can also take excellent images on the periphery. Here's a scleral lens landing on the sclera. We're able to appreciate how much level clearance, how the scleral landing zone looks, and again, make our clinical decisions based off those images as well. Scleral topographer. So it's very different from a corneal topographer. This is new technology. This is exciting technology. We're fortunate enough to have a scleral topographer at Village Eyecare. We've never needed to really know the overall profile of the sclera before. Now we can obtain that information. And why it's important is if you spit a lot of scleral lenses, a lot of the troubleshooting arises from how the lens lands on the sclera. We also know that most patients, regular cornea or irregular cornea, likely have an irregular scleral shape. And with the scleral topographer, we are able to take a complete map of the sclera, identify the overall profile. This top image here are the 3 scans that are required. The patient will look up, look straight ahead, look down, and then these 3 maps are stitched together. Once that scleral map is obtained, then that information is sent over to the lab to custom-make the scleral lens with the exact periphery to match the eye. This ends up being a lens that's a lot more comfortable and gets you to that endpoint a lot quicker. So, as I mentioned, studies have shown that most patients have some toricity in sclera, and significant enough toricity that will affect the output of the scleral lens fit. So the benefits of addressing that toricity with custom scleral lenses, better comfort, less edge lift, and edge lift will also result in debris getting underneath the lens. So reducing that debris buildup is very important. A better fit alignment on the scleral results in a more stabilized fit. And as I mentioned before, less chair time. You will get closer to the endpoint. It's not a one and done type of process, but you are a lot closer to that endpoint with the scleral department. So I'll go through the initial or the process, at least at Village Eyecare, and from the initial visit to the final dispense. Once a patient has been identified as a good candidate for sclerals, and after the refraction of the corneal tomography and the slit lamp examination, then we'll start with the diagnostic lens. Based off the profile, regular cornea, irregular cornea graft, we will select the recommended lens out of the diagnostic data set. Over time, you can actually just look at the eye and pick a vault that actually you think is going to work. Very first time the scleral lens goes on a patient's eye, I prefer to be the one that's doing it. And the reason being is these are not easy lenses to get on. That's how I know.
That's clear.
So I'll fill the lens with saline. I like to use the DMB inserter. The reason I like to put it on is I want to give the patient confidence that it can be done and it's not a struggle. If it becomes difficult up front, you don't want to plant that seed of doubt. I put the lens in, it's got fluorescein dye and saline. I'm checking for bubbles with the cobalt blue light. I'm also checking to make sure there's no apical bearing. If there was, I would take the lens off, go up 200 microns, and try another lens. So once the lens is on successfully, again, these diagnostic lenses may or may not have power depending on the fitting set that you have. You'll allow the lens to settle for 30 minutes, and after that time, then our technicians will take a number of measurements. Once the measurements are taken, we will assess the scleral lens on the eye and do an over refraction and check the A's. After that's done, we'll have all the information we need to call the lab to order the initial lens. This is a great image provided by the Michigan College of Optometry. This is behind the slit lamp. And if you do not have an OCT, it's okay. Scleral lenses can be fit without an OCT. Again, to determine how much corneal clearance you have, you can use a reference point as the actual trial lens. If you know your trial lens is 300 microns, then just use the ratio, how much fluorescein you see compared to the thickness of the lens, and that will give you an estimate of how much corneal clearance you have. Conversely, you can also use the corneal thickness. If you know the corneal thickness with thick imagery, then you can compare that to the fluorescein dye and get a close enough estimate. This is what we did traditionally before the OCTs. Now the OCTs are just fantastic. Obviously, we still go to our slit lamp, but both are very effective. From a frontal view, obviously a little bit of apical bearing, less fluorescein means the lens is a lot closer to the front of the cornea, and obviously that's not acceptable. I look for at least between 200 and 400 microns of corneal clearance at the closest point, depending on the condition as well. And over here on the right is a nice image of full clearance, 360 degrees of the cornea. Again, those scans I mentioned with the OCT, our technicians can measure how much room. In this top image, we've got a keratoconus eye. It's flirting with the back surface of that scleral, about 28 microns, obviously not acceptable over time. The patient's going to start to feel that, and if they don't come back for a while, then it could lead to some trauma on the front of the cornea. Here's an image of an adequate amount of apical clearance. Again, really nicely imaged with our OCT. Once we move from the central cornea, and again, when we're talking about the central cornea, we're talking about the closest point that the cornea is to the back of the lens. So looking for the apex of the cone. So our technicians know, look at the topography, know where they're looking at with regards to how close the cornea gets to the lens. As we move to the periphery, the limbus is the critical area that we have to take care of. The limbal area is where the stem cells are that are responsible for the epithelial layer of the cornea. Scleral lenses need to land completely on the sclera. They have to clear the limbal area, the limbus. On the left here, obviously, way too much bearing in this lens is not acceptable. Even this lens in the middle, still a little bit of touch there. And over here on the right, you can get full clearance. There are a number of different ways to increase limbal clearance. One, opening the optical zone. You make the diameter bigger, but we have to clear the limbus. Let's go to the edge. Again, you can't have a lens that's landing too steeply or too tight. In this case here, the edge of the lens is diving into the sclera and causing impingement. Obviously, over time, this lens feel tight, cause a lot of hyperemia, and would need to be adjusted. Typically, you're going to flatten the edge of the lens, lift it up off the sclera. Here's the opposite problem. This lens is too flat. It's lifting off, there's edge lift. This is going to be likely uncomfortable for the patient. Debris will get under there, bubbles may get under there. This lens needs to be brought back down, Stephen. And here's an aligned SLZ, the scleral landing zone, we call it, where the lens is a linear landing on the sclera. And as I mentioned earlier, a really nice grading scale I'd recommend that you get it online from the Michigan College of Optometry. They really nice images with regards to central, limbal, and edge relationship. Okay, so we're on to the second visit. The lenses have been ordered from the lab. Lenses are here, patient's excited, staff's excited, I'm excited. Insertion, again, either myself, depending on how that first insertion went, myself or my lead technician will handle insertion. It will be done before seeing dye, as shown in that initial video. Again, we're going to wait 30 minutes, take all the necessary scans, evaluation. The VAs and over-refraction will be done at that time as well. Very rarely do I make any changes at that point. I want the patient to take that lens home, unless there's some type of apical bearing or the fit is